The photograph that never existed. Photographs are often treated as evidence. They are seen as records of reality. Proof that a particular moment happened, that a particular person stood in a particular place, at a particular time. Because of this, we tend to trust photographs. We assume they show us what was there. But what if some of the strongest photographs exist partly in our imagination? What if the image we remember is not the image we actually saw? This may sound strange, yet psychologists have spent decades studying a fascinating phenomenon known as false memory. A false memory occurs when a person remembers something that never actually happened, or remembers it differently from the way it occurred. These memories can feel incredibly real. In some cases, people are completely convinced that a detail existed, even when evidence proves otherwise. Surprisingly, photographs can play a role in creating these memories. When we look at an image, we often believe we are simply observing it. But the brain is doing far more than that. It is interpreting, predicting, completing missing information, building a story. The photograph provides the raw material, but the mind constructs much of the experience. Imagine viewing a photograph of a person standing alone near a window. The image may reveal very little. Perhaps there is no explanation of who the person is, what they are thinking, or why they are there. Yet within seconds, many viewers begin creating a narrative. They imagine emotions, relationships, events that happened before the photograph was taken, events that may happen afterward. Over time, those imagined details can become intertwined with the actual memory of the image. The viewer may later remember seeing sadness in the subject's expression, even if the expression was neutral. They may remember objects that were never present. They may remember a story that existed only in their own interpretation. In a sense, they remember a photograph that never truly existed. Part of the reason this happens is that human memory does not function like a camera. Many people assume memory works as a recording device, storing events exactly as they occurred. Modern psychology suggests something very different. Memory is reconstructive. Each time we recall something, the brain rebuilds the experience using fragments of information. Details may be added, details may be removed, interpretations may become mixed with facts. As a result, memory is far more creative than most people realize. Photography interacts with this process in fascinating ways. A photograph freezes a moment, but it does not freeze meaning. Meaning continues to evolve inside the viewer's mind. Two people can look at the same image and remember it differently months later. Each person brings their own experiences, beliefs, emotions, and expectations to the act of seeing. The photograph remains unchanged. The memory does not. This helps explain why certain photographs stay with us for years. Often it is not because of what they showed. It is because of what they allowed us to imagine. The image becomes a starting point rather than a conclusion, a doorway rather than a destination. The viewer contributes something personal to the experience, and that contribution becomes part of the memory itself. In some ways, every photograph exists in two forms. There is the physical image, the one stored on paper, film, or a digital screen. And there is the remembered image, the version reconstructed inside the mind. These two versions are not always identical. Sometimes they differ in subtle ways. Sometimes they differ dramatically, yet both feel real. Perhaps this reveals something important about photography. Its power does not come solely from what it shows. It also comes from what it inspires. The spaces it leaves open, the questions it leaves unanswered, the stories it allows viewers to create for themselves. The next time you revisit an old photograph, pay close attention. You may discover details you do not remember, or realize that some of the things you thought you saw were never there at all. And in that moment, you may encounter one of photography's most fascinating mysteries. The photograph you remember, and the photograph that actually existed. They are not always the same image.